the Minnesota Wild podcast, presented by Acrisure.
Here, once again, another extended Minnesota Wild pregame. This time, though, going into game number 3, and this time from the bowels of Grand Casino Arena, Kevin Falness, Pat Micheletti with you for the next couple of hours, really, till we get up to that 8:50 puck drop. Patrick, we did this when the team was in Dallas. We'll do it now, and hoping they can start this thing off with a bang on home ice.
Well, you know, we kind of suspected that this is going to be a hard series and potentially a long series. And, you know, the bottom line is you wanted to go in and steal one. And our motto, Kevin, you and I, and we're still going with get greedy. They played well enough to win in game 2. Jake Ottinger, I thought, and I think you thought also, was really the difference in the game in terms of the high danger saves that he made in that first period. It could have been 3-4-0 Minnesota after one in that second game.
Hey, he was huge, especially against Matt Boldy. Matt Boldy could have had a hat trick in that first period alone.
And Yurov, too.
Yurov. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way, and the Wild lose game 2. Series even at a game apiece. If you want to get in on the conversation, Patrick's here until about 8:15, so plenty of opportunity to get your text in at 64686. You can also leave us one of those talkbacks on that free iHeartRadio app using that talkback feature, which I won't explain now because by now you probably know it. You can also watch the fun at KFAN.com/watch. What will you be watching for in game number 3 now as the series shifts to St. Paul?
Well, which is going to dictate how Minnesota plays. I mean, if Trennan's out and if Zuccarello's out, you're going to have a different lineup.
Yeah.
And what's that lineup going to look like? Who's going to play with Kaprizov? Are you going to move Yurov up? Which I would, I'm championing that and moving Hartman to the wing. And if Trennan's out, okay, who's going to come in for him? Is it going to be Sturm, or do you give the youngster a chance?
It looks like Sturm. If you listen to what John Hines said this morning, it sounds like if they both can't play, Brink and Sturm are the two guys that are going to be in the lineup tonight.
Yeah, or is he setting Dallas up a little bit to think those two are the guys? Oh, I mean, we don't know, right? Until, what, 8:20?
Probably, yeah. That's
right?
When they take the ice for the pregame skate, right around 8:20, 8:25.
Right?
That's probably the first time we'll get any indication.
What do you want to see happen if both those guys are out and the line combinations?
I would love to see Hunter Haight. I don't think it happens tonight, but regardless, if they have to go any length of time without those two guys, I'd like some speed. I'd like that youthful exuberance in the lineup. That's why I would like to see Hunter Haight. I don't have a problem with Bobby Brink either, but I'll tell you this much. We've talked a lot about Kaprizov and Hughes and Boldy as 3 big pieces to this lineup.
Yep.
And there's no question that's absolutely a fact. But you realize in times like these just how important Mats Zuccarello is to what he means to Kaprizov, what he means to the power play. Everything offensively is driven a lot through Mats Zuccarello.
And a lot of it, and what people don't understand sometimes, it's chemistry between players and lines, and there's a reason why that player X is still on this line because of what he does for the other two guys. And so it's not as easy as just say, okay, we're throwing this guy up there. Well, that's not going to make sense if he doesn't mesh well with the other two guys on the line or understanding his role. And so those are the main factors that, I think they're thinking about, and what's going to be the best scenario. Who's that guy who can read off of Kaprizov? Who's that guy who can get Kaprizov the puck in the area that he needs it in? No one can do it better than Zuccarello. No one is going to take Zuccarello's spot.
Yep.
But you hope to get someone that, kind of thinks in that same way.
It's too bad because in theory, Tarasenko should be that guy. He's a guy that's played in an elevated role earlier in his career. He scored 23 goals this season. but they do not mesh anywhere close to the way Zuccarello and Kaprizov do.
No, and Tarasenko doesn't have that. Tarasenko's a shoot first guy. He's not a pass first guy. He doesn't play that game where he can hold it an extra second, look around like Zuccarello can. Okay, so it's not a good fit. They've tried it before. It didn't work. And Tarasenko doesn't have the quickness or the speed to evade a guy and then find the open Kaprizov. That has a lot to do with it. Yeah. And take nothing away from Tarasenko. Tarasenko, seems to fit in well when it's all the whole Russian line. Yeah. They work well together.
They really do.
And so that chemistry is different than another line. And so it doesn't say, oh boy, he's just not a good player, can't play or whatever. It's chemistry and a line.
I hear what you're saying about taking Yurov and moving him to the top line, throwing Hartman to the wing, having Kaprizov on the other side. In theory, another theory would be easy to take one of those guys off that quote-unquote second line, but they play so well, you got to keep them locked in, right?
Yeah, you can't.
And again, we're talking about Johansson, Eriksson Ek, and Boldy.
Yep, and a lot of people rip on Johansson, and they call me, the Johansson protector, but you have to understand what Johansson does for that line, and he's got speed, and he can, it's not going to happen every shift. Right? You don't have a great shift every shift, but when it does work, it opens up space for Boldy and Eriksson Ek to do what they have to do. Ek is great down low. Johansson is great with his speed and taking guys with him, and that opens things up for Boldy with his hands and his ability, to see the ice and get in his spots. That's why that line has been so successful all season long.
You found another extended Minnesota Wild pregame. I'm Kevin Falness. That's Pat Micheletti. Join us if you like. Wild.com. Make that KFAN.com/watch. You can also text us at 64686, accepting your talkbacks as well. Coming up here towards the bottom of the hour, former Wild defenseman Shane Hnidy is going to join us. Now working the television side there for TNT tonight, but also does a lot of great work there with the Vegas Golden Knights. It'll be great to get his perspective on one of his former squads. He's got a few former squads as well.
Yeah, he does.
Tom and Joe will join us from the Al Shaver press box closer to 8 o'clock. And after the break, we're going to be checking in with Brett Blakemore for a Minnesota Wild pregame version of
has he gotten
Brett
the
Blakemore's
Folignos?
Breakaways.
All I want to know is if he's gotten both Folignos out of the lineup yet. Because apparently they can't play.
Well, it turns out I don't have a lot of pull in the Wild locker room, so we'll keep working on it.
All right.
I don't want to steal his thunder, but what did you think about the interaction between it was Harley and Foligno? Gulutzan said he took him in a headlock and put him into the turnbuckle. Did you see it like that? And was he, I think he was probably lucky he didn't get a major for that interchange,
probably.
Ended up with a double minor. What did you think of that at the end of the second period?
Well, I thought there should have been 2 interference penalties called before they even hit the stanchion.
Yep.
And when they hit the stanchion, it was that was the initial call on Harley. And then Foligno did not keep his composure. Yep. And, probably got away with not being kicked out.
Yep.
Okay? If I think if Harley's head hits the ice, I think Foligno protected him actually because he had his arm underneath him and his head.
But he had his arm underneath him because he had him in a headlock before.
It didn't look. Yeah, I mean he had him in a headlock. All right. Oh my God. Oh my God, he had him in.
I don't know that he was cradling him.
Did you see Tampa and Montreal last night?
No, believe me. This is playoff hockey. It's going to get intense. The guys are going to cross the line. But I guess the question is, in your mind, do you think Foligno learned his lesson? Hartman's playing.
Well, I don't know if I don't know if you call it learning his lesson. I don't know. If that's what we want to call it, that's fine.
But do you think the message got across? I mean, one thing you can't do, when this team and that team, I think there's so little separating them that if you're going to spend time in the box, you're giving them carte blanche to beat you on the power play. Yep. And you can't do that. The Wild's power play is very good as well. Yep. But if you give them a run with Robertson and whoever on the power play, you're asking for trouble.
For sure. When we talked about that prior to the series starting, that you gotta pick your spots and take his number down and get him later, that sort of thing. And so, but on the Nick Foligno penalty, you got to go in and make that hit like that. Unfortunately, he just at the end he took it a little bit too far, and they got him for it. But I don't want to see the aggressiveness go away because you gotta play aggressive, and you gotta hit, and you gotta. It's
a fine line, right? I mean, because you need to play aggressive. You got to play on the line, but you can't go over the line. That's when you get in trouble, and you do see it in these other series too. By the way,
no doubt.
So if you don't toe the line, it's hard.
How about the 5-on-5 in the Tampa game last night, and they called one penalty out of it at the end of the period? I think they got because they called them earlier, right in that game or earlier in that period. And they had 5 guys in the box, and the guy said, I've had enough. I'm just calling one.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how both teams react to the fact that they're in St. Paul tonight. I think the crowd is going to be electric. It sounds like the cat's out of the bag. Do you know who's doing Let's Play Hockey tonight?
I don't.
Viking wide receiver Justin Jefferson.
Oh.
Do you think the lid's going to come off this place? He's a guy that can get fired up. So that should be fun. I don't think they need an excuse to get fired up. With the late start, everybody's on West 7th as it is or making their way down there.
I had a hard time getting to...
I bet you did.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
And it was... I get here early, Kevin.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
For me, I guess I would do the same thing. I'd make a night of it, come down here for dinner, and then...
It's 80 degrees out.
Beautiful day.
People in shorts and, great.
Without a doubt. From the 320 area code, texted in at 64686, says, Patrick Tarasenko's going to have a big night. Great news. He's rested. His mind is clear. He was on the bench coaching his kid at Mite Hockey last night in Edina.
Yeah, why not?
Who doesn't have a kid in Edina that either wore the Wild uniform or is wearing the Wild uniform?
Isn't that the truth?
The Hornets are going to be stacked for years to come if these guys stay local, including Tarasenko. I didn't know that he had a kid in Edina Hockey as well. Real quick before we squeeze in that first break, the goaltending matchup. You mentioned Jake Ottinger before. He got lit up in Game 1, and some folks in the stable there for the Dallas Stars, mostly the media, their bloggers, their fans, were wondering if it was time to make a switch. Go to DeSmith. He got pulled, meaning Ottinger got pulled at the end of the playoffs last year. Shaky start to this series. Everyone was bad in Game 1 for Dallas, including their goaltender. Boy, he shut those guys up real good in game number 2.
He was a difference in the game. I mean, we talked about it. Could have been 3, could have been 4. In that first period, he was really, really sharp. And so I think it's really important that Minnesota gets to him early tonight. Get that first goal. Get a lot of shots on him right away, and try to rattle him a little bit. Because when he's on, he's one of the best in the world.
And especially here at Grand Casino Arena, it says all-time against the Wild in Minnesota, his save percentage is .925.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's awfully good. So be precise, get volume, and because that's one area I'd like to see the Wild shoot a little bit more tonight. And they're a team that gets after it, right? And they're not afraid to get to the front of the net and go after it. And so I think that's what they got to do.
I'll tell you, I think for 95% of the season, everyone thought that Philip Gustafsson would be the number 1 goaltender going into the playoffs.
The ship has sailed.
And that changed. But my question is, how good has Jesper Wallstedt? I mean, obviously he was fantastic in Game 1. He's not the reason why they lost Game 2.
No, he was great. And any talk of, who's going to start? Wallstedt's going to start. He's the guy. He's who they're going with unless he has a complete meltdown or they just need some type of change. He's going to be their guy, and he's earned it, and he's confident, and he's playing really well for these guys.
Yeah, he's got the confidence. Again, everyone will tell you to a man, they don't care if it's one guy or the other. But, of course, this is the right decision right now. Wallstedt is the guy. He's playing with confidence, and he certainly didn't cost him Game 2.
It shouldn't even be a talker.
No.
It should not even be a talker.
So that's your goaltending matchup. Wallstedt against Ottinger. That much we know. We don't know the lineup situation for the Minnesota Wild as of yet. It's called a game-time decision for both Matt Zuccarello and Yakov Trenyan.
The fans want to know, Kevin, and we don't know.
They want to know, but, again, playoff hockey, This is the little gamesmanship they play.
Know.
And I'm surprised they even tell us who's starting in goal, even though it's obvious, or it should be.
Right.
I'm kind of surprised because they could have played that game, too. I don't know. It could be Volson, could be Gustafsson.
Yeah, we have confidence in both.
Yeah. So that's the plan tonight. If we get any further information, we, of course, will deliver it. But why don't we get that first break out of the way, and then when we continue, buckle up. It's Brett Blakemore's Breakaways.
I think he just looks like he's got so much confidence on the ice. He makes plays everywhere. He's smart and he plays hard. He's just an unbelievable player on both sides of the puck, and it's fun to have him on our side when he's playing like he is now.
One of Pat Micheletti's favorite topics, Marcus Johansson talking about the play of Brock Faber. 2 goals in the loss in game number 2, but he looked like I didn't think he could take. I didn't think he could take his game to another level when he was paired with Quinn Hughes. He did, and then he took it to another level in the playoffs, scoring a pair of goals in that first one. Pat, an eye popper.
He wants to win so bad, and he elevates his game. He's so good, both ends of the ice, and that's another area where I hope Minnesota makes a change tonight. If Zuccarello doesn't play, I think it's imperative that they move Faber to the number 1 power play because he has the ability. He intertwines so well with Hughes up top, and I think they're going to have to generate their power play from up top, and I think those two together, instead of while Zuccarello would be out, right? So you move him in, and so I think that's another matchup that I'm looking to see.
We'll see. I mean, hopefully it doesn't come to that because Zuccarello, like we've said, is such an integral part of this lineup. But if he's not available, if Trenyon isn't available, John Hines and company have their work cut out for them. Game 3 in St. Paul. That's the way we see it. Time now for Brett Blakemore's Breakaways.
It's time for Brett Blakemore's Breakaway.
Here's a break. Kaprizov in alone. Nobody going to catch him. Kaprizov score!
And now, Blakemore's Breakaways.
Now, for those of you that don't know, that are just tuning in because you're waiting for the drop of the puck for game number 3, every week on this little show called Beyond the Pond, 10 to noon, Saturdays on KFAN, hosted by myself and Pat Micheletti, we have Brett Blakemore there, and he does Brett Blakemore's Breakaways, and whatever he has in that magic little hat of his, it's up to him to unfurl it.
And sometimes it's been about mascots.
It can sometimes be about mascots or be silly. That is correct.
So I can't wait to see what you got going for us today. Let's go with the first one.
I'm strapped in.
I've got a lot in the tank today. We'll start things. I have one non-serious X's and O's hockey question. Just one.
Okay.
And we're going to lead with it. Do you like A, the rally towels that they do now, or B, I saw a picture behind you, Kevin, do they bring back the state of hockey flags? I kind of like the flag look. It's unique. What do you think?
What's the difference? What are you looking at behind me?
There's something behind you in a mural, or maybe it's behind Pat.
Okay.
That is the old, look at that. It has all the flags around, the state of hockey flags. They used to do that. Now it's just a towel that you wave around. I like both of them. I'm not ripping any of them. It's just a question.
That's a long time ago, I think.
2000?
I bet it has the date on there, on the flags themselves. It wasn't 2000, but it was.
I think that's a cool look. The state of hockey flags.
I don't know. I like seeing the rally towels. I go back. I'm so old, I go back to the Homer Hankies. How about you, Pat? That's where it started in Minnesota at the old Herbert H. Humphrey Metrodome. But, it gives the fans something to do, more power to them, and I love it. Okay. I don't care which one it is.
All right, fine. There's
and I don't think Pat does either.
There's the fun and games.
This is the best part about Brett Blakemore's Breakaways at KFAN.com/watch. You can physically see Pat roll his eyes. Where normally you just have to imagine it. Now you can physically watch it.
Yeah, you can usually feel it through the radio.
I got nothing.
You're fine. Well, if it doesn't happen on the ice, I don't care. All right, here we go. We talked a lot about the health. We're still waiting to hear if Zuccarello, if Trenyon's going to play, both game time decisions. But I'm thinking about that top line. Now, Tarasenko was the guy that was in there. But to me, a replacement that could move the puck as well, could skate as hard, I don't hate, possibly, shed the thought, Bobby Brink on that top line. He's a great passer of the puck. He can create plays. He skates hard. He has effort. I wouldn't hate him if Zuccarello can't go on that top line because I don't think Tarasenko is a fit on that line. He's a good player. I'm not calling for his head or anything like that. I just don't think that's an ideal fit where I think Brink might help create some plays and get the puck moving a little more.
Pat, I don't think there's any doubt Tarasenko's not going to be there tonight. From everything, reading the tea leaves and even the way John Hines talks about it, it doesn't feel like it's a fit up there for Tarasenko. Bobby Brink, on the other hand, maybe that's a possibility. He's only had one game of NHL postseason experience. It was game 2 on Monday night. What did you think of his foray into the fold?
Well, I think I like Brink as a player. I mean, I like him a lot. I like him when he plays with a guy that's got some speed because, when he gets below the dots, he's really good. He's really good. He's good behind the net, handles the puck well, knows how to move around in those areas. The problem being is that you need somebody to get in on the forecheck first. Yep. He can't be the first guy in the forecheck because, he just doesn't have the speed to do that. And everyone's different. So if he played with a guy like that who's got some speed, who can get in there and then get Bobby going, I think it's great.
Could Hartman be that guy? Could Hartman be the guy that's in there first?
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. I mean, we're going to have to wait and see. I don't know what they're going to do.
I mean, I don't think Bobby Brink is molasses over here. Like, he's still a pretty good skater, I think. But he's not, like, the best skater on the team.
I didn't say that he was not,
You can see you flutter your eyes, by the way.
I give.
Let's go here.
Anyhow.
We mentioned, I think, a big part of Game 2 was the fact that the team got ottered, especially in the first period. The breakaway, the point-blank backhander, I think both from Boldy, just off the top of my head, of 2 saves that probably don't get made all that often. But Ottinger is a guy that's just so good when he locks in. And we talked about getting rattled, but is it just a case of, whenever you hear a hot goalie, you think, well, he can't stop what he can't see. That's the age-old. Do you think more traffic in front is the deal, or is there a way to not get Otter, to not even get him started to get in the zone?
Well, the saves that he made were point blank, so you couldn't get guys in front of him, right?
That is true.
One was a breakaway, and the other one was a great pass by Brink to Yurov, and that was headed to the back of the net until that glove came up.
Yep.
And so, I think they're doing everything right. I really do.
And I think John Hines said that. He said that, there's not a lot we need to change from our game, especially when you compare. I mean, they played a perfect game in Game 1. There's and the Stars did not.
I thought and for both teams, all right, I thought the officials got too involved. And there were a lot of penalties in that first period. And then, I thought, I thought Dallas did a lot of interfering at the blue line, which really made it difficult for Minnesota to get their forecheck going. I mean, I thought it loosened up in the third period. You saw Kaprizov get skating a little bit more. He was all tied up at the blue line in the first and second period. Yep. And, I think he was held where you can't be doing that. Yep. And I thought more penalties probably should have been called, and they dropped their whistles or whatever.
And we'll get back to your breakaways here in a second, Brett. But we talked going into Game 2 about how missing in action Jamie Benn had been. I didn't notice him in Game 1
until the slew foot.
I noticed him in Game 2. He was an agitator again and cheap as well.
Yeah.
The slew foot on Matt Boldy was flat out ridiculous. Yeah. So he's making his presence known.
Yeah, and he got away with it, and Foligno didn't.
Exactly.
And that's unfortunate.
All right, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. Here we go. I've only you're feel free to do that. We've only got 2 minutes ish left of breakaway, so I saved it for the last so it can't spill over.
I don't want to get in trouble.
That's fine. When I was reading the Gamer for Russo and Joe Smith, the first talking point out of Game 2 was Foligno brothers' lack of discipline proves costly. They wrote a whole article about how costly their discipline was.
I'd have to explain that to me, how they cost Minnesota the game. If you can explain that to me, I'm listening.
I thought you were going to turn your mic off. B,
no,
I thought
not after that.
Do they have to cost the game for you to criticize them?
Let me tell you what Brett does before we get into this. Okay. Brett will say something, but then he'll tweet it out or text me, and he tags Russo to get validation. I'm like, well, I mean,
that comes after you've tagged me 6 times to start things.
My God,
I never tagged you, but you tagged me. Funny how that. Look, that penalty where he. First of all, he had a hit where he was so.
I want to know how they cost the game.
Can you not? If something happens during the game, it doesn't cost them the game. Does that mean you can't criticize them? How do we know it didn't cost them the game? They had to go down 3 skaters in 4 minutes, and they had to kill a penalty, which almost cost another penalty. What if they were more rested? Think about what could have happened. And let me get to my point, which is if you're already down a man with Trenyon and you do that, and he was already showing signs of recklessness, him being Moose, where he had a hit where he almost fell into the Wild bench because he was so out of control. He was so fired up and emotional. Then 2 seconds later, he drags a guy's head into the bucket.
Do you want them out of the lineup is what I want to know.
I'm trying to get to my point.
Do you want to pull them out of the lineup?
You admitted in the first segment he was lucky to not get tossed. You doing that when you're already down a man is reckless, and it costs the team, and they can't do that.
So it costs the team the game? Is that what you're saying?
It can't even...
No,
just because it didn't, you don't know that it didn't.
Did it cost them the game? Do you want them out of the lineup? Is all I want to know.
I think they need to be more disciplined. It's as simple as that.
So
it doesn't matter about costing the game.
So you don't want them out of the lineup, or you do, or did it cost them the game, or did it not?
So Pat, what you're saying is the only way you can criticize something is if they cost them the game. That's what you're saying. We can't look at any nuance in the game. It's only, did it cost? Yes, no.
In your
then
mind,
we can criticize.
Brett, to move past this at some point, in your mind, do the Foligno brothers, Marcus in particular, have value in this lineup in your mind?
Great question.
I think they can. I think Nick Foligno.
No.
I'm asking if they do.
Or do they not?
They do when they are disciplined and playing physical in controlled ways. They have value, yes.
How bad would your head explode if Marcus Foligno were to find the back of the net tonight? Because it's going to take a guy like that to get on the board.
You know what I would do? I would jump up and down with my arms and go, "Yeah, we scored." I don't care if he scores.
How upset would you be if Marcus Foligno says, "Jamie Benn, we're going at the drop of the puck tonight"?
That's fine because it's both a man. So knock yourself out. But if you put us behind the 8 ball like he did for 4 minutes, then that's different.
I mean, it just,
Sorry, I can think with a little nuance.
How many years, Kevin? How many years has it been that he's wanted Marcus Foligno out of the line?
Yeah, you're not.
Ever since he got tossed,
you're not his number one fan. We get that for sure. Right, Brett?
When he plays his game the correct way, I'm a fan of his.
Oh, okay.
And he's a great guy off the ice, too.
You know what we're going to have to do? We're going to have to continue this. You know what? Actually, Saturday for Beyond the Pond. That's the next time we'll do this.
Oh, boy. We only have an hour, so.
We'll see how it goes. Brett, nice work as always.
Thank you, Kev.
Combat pay coming for Brett Blakemore and Brett Blakemore's Breakaways. Patrick, wonderful job as well. We'll break, and then we hope to be joined by Shane Hnidy here in a little bit. The Sheriff, Shane Hnidy, of television fame, formerly of Minnesota Wild fame. He's next here on this extended Minnesota Wild pregame, available also at KFAN.com/watch.
This is Shane Hnidy. Happy holidays from the Minnesota Wild.
Center. Here's Monty Miezen. Gains the St. Louis line for Shane Hnidy. Hnidy left circle. Has some room. Scores! Has some room. Moves in just inside the rim of the left circle and roops it. Past Mason. It's 2-1 Minnesota.
Well, that was a bullet. There's no question. Probably feels like it was a lifetime ago, but Shane Hnidy scoring for the Minnesota Wild during that 2009-2010 season. a long time ago. He's here. I told you, Shane, I had to dig through the archives. So many highlights to pick from.
That's not very nice, Kevin.
No, I'm not surprised.
So many to pick from was my problem, and so I came up with that one. Just a treasure
There's
trove.
a story with that one, because that was back when
you
we
remembered
played.
the actual highlight.
Well, because it was December 26th,
Jesus,
right? And I was home in Winnipeg, and I remember it was a snowstorm, and I remember landing late here in Vinny, Todd Richards' coach, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember I landed at like 10. Practice was at 10:30 that morning skate, and somehow he's like, no worries. I remember I somehow got to the arena, my stuff on, and I was on the ice at 10:28 or 10:29, got stick tapped. So I remember that day because it was right after the Christmas break, and it was a rush for me. I was just in Winnipeg. It wasn't far for the holidays, but good times. I loved it here because I'm Manitoba boy. This is about
How many
as
years
close
did
as
you
it can
play
be.
here?
Just 1 year.
1 year. 70
one.
games,
Was it
1 year.
one?
Yeah.
Jeez, I
Yeah.
thought it was
We got to talk about tonight and your glamorous TV
Absolutely.
career and all that
yeah.
stuff. But I also want to talk about I love the old-time Wild stuff. When you think back, you already brought up Todd Richards. Who are some of those defensemen? I was looking at the list, so I'll actually name a few of them. Brent Burns was one of them that I saw on there. Zidlichki was on there. Who was your defensive partner when you were here?
Well, forget Greg Zanin.
Yeah.
Zanin. Now a coach at high school.
You know what's funny is I remember I played with Zid a little bit, Zlicki, and he's a skilled guy, right shot, but he did not want to play the offside, which is usually where you put the skilled guy. So I was like, they're like, can you play the offside? I'm like, sure, I'll play. I'll play. If I'm in the lineup, and I think actually I played a couple games with Johnny Scott. I remember Justin Falk got called up. I think I played with him.
Yeah.
Who else was here? Kimmy?
Johnson.
Johnson. Janssen was here.
Yeah.
Nick Schultz.
Nick Schultz.
Towards the end of his tenure here.
Any of those left-handed shots I'd play with. Yeah, Schultz is a good guy.
Amazing memories. Unfortunately, you guys didn't make the playoffs that year. But when you think about what then was XL Energy Center and what you think it's going to be like tonight now at Grand Casino Arena, love that team back in 2009. And there's been some great teams. This team is the best team in franchise history. What do you think it's going to be like out here as they drop the puck for Game 3?
Well, this is why you play the game, right?
Yeah.
And I always say this. It's amazing. We go through an 82-game absolute grind where you got to manufacture emotion at some points throughout the year. It's there's days you just got to get yourself through it. And then you get to this point. All that is built in because every arena, and especially ones that are starved for it, as you said, I think this is their best team they've had in franchise history. Bill and Garen's done a terrific job. It is going to be, off the charts. That's why you play this, just to get to playoffs. I always say I've been out, 16 years now. I don't miss the game in those dog days, the regular season, training camp, all that. But I still get a little bit of the juice flowing when it gets to playoffs. That's what you miss. That's why you play the game. That's why you put yourself through it. There's a willingness. Guys will willingly sacrifice mentally and physically to the extreme at this time of the year because it is the ultimate prize at the end.
When you look at these two teams, I mean, it's literally the margin of error for victory is so thin, right? I mean, both teams have good goaltending. Both teams have guys that can score. Both teams have really good defensemen. Both teams know how to defend. I mean, there really is no favorite, is there?
No,
I mean,
not at all. And it's. And I know it's probably been talked about. It's unfortunate it's a first-round matchup, right?
Yeah,
because these two teams, what they bring and how good they were all season long. It's just not a lot of ice, right?
Yeah.
So this is, what does it come down to? It is so hard to judge. That's why everybody says, well, it's going to go 7 and, flip a coin, because it could certainly go that way. Maybe not. The Wild and Dallas probably wasn't as good. I know we spoke with Glenn Goldson. Yeah. He said game one. He says more like it in game 2. Yeah. And, John Hines, they both feel their teams have more. And that's what you want. You want to progress as the series goes along. But I honestly can't pick outright who's got an edge. I don't think there's an edge. That's what the players got to determine, right? I think it's about details, because when you look at it, both, I think there's more physical players on the Wild. Mm-hmm. But I think Dallas plays a physical game. So it's it's interesting. They both got their superstars, and he mentioned the goaltending, the defense. There's so much to like on both these teams. And when I was told I was going to do games 3 and 4 of this series, and hopefully maybe more, I was like, this would have been the one I would handpick for myself.
Now we look at Minnesota's lineup tonight, which we don't know, and and injuries play a big factor in this series. Minnesota loses Zuccarello tonight. He's a catalyst on their power play.
3 assists in one game?
Yeah. Right? And so their power play went stagnant in game 2.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Well, maybe because of him.
Yeah.
And then Trennan, right? 13 hits in game 1. 13.
I know.
Playing like a man possessed. They lose him. How do you think that changes Minnesota and or Dallas's strategy against Minnesota?
Well, I think obviously, yeah. Is it Trennan or Chennan? I don't know.
Trennan.
I know.
I'm a guy
these guys that change their names mid-season.
I call him Trennan.
Whatever. Perfect. Anyway, he's a physical presence, right? And playoffs is all. A little bit of the, that mind games where you want to wear down the other team. I believe when 13 hits, a guy that does that come game 5, 6, and 7, there's an effect on the other side.
Right.
And then Zuccarello, well, you're not going to replace his skill set.
No.
You aren't. You're going to get guys, but you're not going to go far in playoffs if you don't have that depth because injuries are just part of the game. So you've got to have guys that are willing to step up. Other guys are going to have to, boost their role. Some guys that aren't maybe big hitters are going to have to finish a few more hits. They're going to have to play that certain game. You don't want to take them out of their game. You still got to play to your strengths. But, you just can't replace certain players because they have those qualities that make them who they are. But at the same time, you've got to rely on depth players. You got to have other guys step up. That's the great thing about playoffs is you see different heroes all the time. I love overtime goals like J.J. Mosier scores. You got Kucherov points.
Right.
Guys like that can be difference makers, and that's what you need to have. And we'll see. Like they Dallas still without Hintz. That's a big piece of their lineup.
For sure. We're talking to former Wild defenseman Shane Hnidy, a decade in the National Hockey League, 1 season here in Minnesota, as we talked about in the 2009-2010 season. As a former defenseman, there's some star power on the blue line for both these teams as well. Heiskanen over there. Quinn Hughes, of course, I don't need to tell you how good he is. But I'm wondering what your national perspective is of Brock Faber. 2 goals in Game 2. A former Gopher, much like Pat Micheletti, and that's why he loves him. But he also loves him because he's one hell of a player.
When he came in, I didn't know much about him, and I've watched him grow to an elite defender. I think the 4 Nations and obviously Olympics do wonders for a young defenseman like that, for his confidence, and you can see it. And then playing with Quinn Hughes, how can that not help? Certainly, I love watching the defenseman out. It has completely changed from, their ability.
They're so important.
And it starts with skating. Favors, I think we don't look at his skating enough. And I always when I look at defensemen, especially guys that, and I love my Middletons, right? That's,
well, you need that balance.
But you need that balance. But Faber, he can angle so well. His skating, the surfing they do, his ability to move forward. He's a puck mover defenseman, and now you're seeing that offensive confidence come to his game, which is a big element. And I think him and Hughes, the way they work together, especially 4-on-4 when there's open ice, they're dangerous.
Yeah.
They're dangerous out there. And then on the other side, Heiskanen, and one guy that doesn't get enough credit, I'll say for the Dallas Stars, is Zess Lindell. He's a horse.
Oh, boy, he is.
He is a horse.
And he blocks a lot of shots.
He kind of under the radar.
Yeah,
he really does. He's kind of, I always say, he's kind of like the Charlie Huddy to Paul Coffey for all those years, right?
Yeah.
When you think back to the 80s.
That's a fantastic reference.
It really
was.
Kind of quietly.
How good was Coffey?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
One of my favorites when growing
All right,
up.
so you're in Vegas. You do the Vegas games, and Bill Guerin pulls off the trade to get Quinn Hughes. What was your initial thought when that occurred?
Well, I'm a huge Billy Guerin fan. I always have been. The person, the player, and now the general manager. That's what you need to do, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a signal to the group.
But did that just, how did he pull that off?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think I was working a national game when it came through, so it was really big news. I can't remember exactly where it was. I've been all over the map this season. But, yeah, it's like, okay, the Wild are in it.
Yeah.
Right? They knew it.
That was okay.
And I love that Billy is unafraid. He's fearless, right?
Yeah.
You look at how fearless he is to make the moves, what he's done to build this with Kaprizov, getting him locked in, bring in Hughes. Obviously, they still won't work, but that's not on the mind right now. Their mind right now is Dallas, and he is an X factor. Mm-hmm. When you get a player like that. And, being in Vegas, I've seen a lot of Kelly McCrimmon's done that. Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, Alex Pedroia.
It goes on and on.
Yeah. So I think the general managers are willing to take the risk are guys that are telling, you know what, we're going to be competitive. We're going to do whatever it takes to win. And that goes through the room. Players see that. And that is a lift in that dressing room.
Real quick then, because you got to go do your A job. You're nice enough to stop by for us.
No problem.
Tell us about how you made the transition from player now to media mogul. You're doing the TV, not only for Vegas, but you're doing it for TNT tonight. I mean, national. This is congratulations, man. This is and you do a fantastic job.
Thanks.
That's why you continue to move up the charts there. But how'd you get into the media stuff?
Well, I'm very fortunate, right? I will say this, I'm not qualified in much else. When it comes to sport of hockey, I would say
all of us.
Really not qualified not qualified to do much else. And it's interesting how it came about. So basically, I was with Bruins for the run in 2011, fortunate enough to win the body. I probably could have eked out another year, but that was the year Atlanta moved to Winnipeg. And it was actually the day I had the cup, I got a call from TSN and asked if I'd be interested. I said, well, I'm kind of busy right now. And, and it just built from there. And then I started on radio, which I think was fantastic. I think you're getting your reps. And then I remember I did my first TV game. Somebody couldn't make
Winnipeg,
it. In
right?
Winnipeg, yeah. So I covered the Jets for the first 6 years when I went back, which was great being a Manitoban. And it was just an instant fit when I remember I did my first TV game. And they're like, okay, you got to mark replays and you learn all that. I did it and it went really well. Dennis Bayak was, he's the best mentor I could have had at that moment.
So good too.
And it was the first time I remember going home to my wife and I said, yeah, now I know what I want to do.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's built. And then obviously when Vegas came, going there. So I did national. TSN was the best training ground. I did world championships. I did, some national there. And then part of the move to go to Vegas was to go to the bigger market at national and did some NBC in Vegas. And then obviously with Turner, I've been doing stuff with them since they came in the league. And then more here the last couple of years and going forward. And also doing Amazon Prime in Canada now too. So I'm very fortunate. I'm blessed.
You don't just fall into something like that though. I mean, when you were a player, did you know that at some point, this could be my dream scenario to follow up with broadcasting once I'm done playing? Was that a thought, or did this just kind of happen?
It was a thought, because I used to do radio shows. I remember in Boston, I used to do Hillman in the Morning. I'm like, this is kind of cool, doing stuff like that. And I like to talk. I take after my mom. She can yap. So it's and then I always could read the game so well, right?
Yeah.
And especially when you spend a lot of time in the middle of the bench watching, you can, that was my strength as a player. I was good enough at skill and physical and all that, but, I could think the game. So, why not? It was perfect. And then just, learning the ability to read games and go out. And, everybody's got, I had a lot of people help me. I think the big thing is, and I try to tell guys now, our job is to give our opinion.
Yep.
People may not like it, but I don't like to be skewed one way or the other. The job is to give your opinion, whether they like it or not. What you see, you may be wrong, but hey, that's what you see. That's what you see, and that's what you talk about. Yeah. And I work with. I've been fortunate to work with tremendous people like tonight, John Forsland and Eddie Olchuk. They're both kind of like been mentors to me as well.
Yeah, they're great.
And it's a constantly evolving and learning. I got a great group of people. Dave Gosher in Vegas, so it's. I love it. And the best way, I'll leave it at this, the best is because all my buddies are obviously huge hockey fans back in Manitoba, guys I grew up where they're like, whenever I complain, well, the travel can be a lot, right? And they're like, you realize you get paid to do what we have to pay to do. That's watch hockey.
Yeah. And they're sitting at a desk probably for 8 hours. That's what I think about. One last thing, because Pat's done some TV. His lesson to me was always pay the extra $1 for the expensive makeup when you're doing the TV.
Absolutely.
Don't chintz on the makeup, right?
Oh my God!
Especially as I get older, I'm like, just cake it on.
Awesome stuff. Shane, thanks for doing this.
Anytime.
Good luck there in Vegas with that gig. Good luck with the national stuff. Fun to see your wings fly, man. You're doing a great job, so keep it up.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yep,
there we go. The Sheriff, Shane Hnidy, stopping by this extended Minnesota Wild pregame. We'll break. Then when we continue, upstairs to the Al Shaver press box, we got Tom Reed and Joe O'Donnell next. And by the way, you can watch us at KFAN.com/watch. Come on over. You can see Brett agitate Pat Micheletti. You can see Halvey up there behind Joe O'Donnell. Good stuff coming your way as we get ready for Game 3. Wild taking on the Stars, and it's coming your way very shortly. More after this and a break. You're listening to We can't break. So this is what they call tap dancing in the business. Halvey, you up there?
You're darn tootin'.
So let me ask you about what you see. I'm told I can't break yet, and there's nothing more awkward. He's trying to get a commercial break racked up. So tell me what it looks like up there. I know they got the towels out. They wrote in. So are the fans starting to filter into the building?
Oh, yeah. The fans are getting in here. What else are you going to do? I mean, obviously, plenty to do on West 7th. Tom Reed is looking at me with glaring eyes. Plenty to do before you get in here, of course, but Tom Reed's Hockey City Pub is a great option, but obviously with the later start, people just kind of want to get in here, want to get settled, want to get ready to go. They've got some great stuff. We just watched the rehearsals of all the pregame festivities. They're going to get the crowd going, and it should result in a pretty darn good atmosphere here at Grand Casino Arena tonight.
I don't know how long Brett needs me to tap dance. Pat, throw your headsets back on here. Is Tom up there, you said,
Tom
Brett?
is up here. So
why don't we grab Tom? No. I don't know how much I got, or how much time I got.
I would be careful grabbing him at this point. It's very feisty.
Where am I?
You are there at the Al Shaver press box. You're a world traveler, of course.
I don't see Al.
No Al today?
No Al?
No Al today.
How you feeling about this one, Thomas? You guys were there at American Airlines Center. Wild stole. They didn't steal Game 1. They took Game 1, suffered a setback in Game 2, but you come back to St. Paul, almost the best-case scenario. They stole one out there in Dallas. Series tied at a game apiece.
Yeah, it's one of those situations. Also, I'm always nervous about these games when they start. And usually you can tell from the drop of the puck what team is going to maybe be in the lead at the end of the first period, second, and third period. Hopefully, Minnesota will be there. But these games are difficult also. They really are. I mean, you're geared up on both sides, whether it be Dallas or Minnesota. You're geared up to really step on the ice and make some good things happen, certainly for your team. So we'll see where it goes right now. Minnesota's going to be with a couple guys. We'll get into that a little bit later on. But at the same time, I'm sure that the fans will be ready and pretty well rocking down West 7th Street. So hopefully the fans here are treated to a victory, which they're looking for.
Hey, Tom, we wanted to get greedy and get that second game, and certainly could have in that first period. Number of great opportunities, and Ottinger was terrific.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I've always said, you get into playoff competitions, goaltending is going to be a difference. They really are. You're that and your specialty teams, and I thought Ottinger was very good for both games, but Minnesota really stepped up in that first period. That was as good a first period that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
That first game, it was terrific.
And Joe O'Donnell joins you now, as we can tell from KFAN.com/watch. For those that don't know, this is how you guys typically call a game, touching elbows.
Yeah, I mean, as close as we can get, Kevin. Closest we can get.
Well, we just got Tom's thoughts on what he's expecting going into Game 3. We know how it went out there at American Airlines Center. Wild took Game 1. They fell short in Game 2. Series tied at a game apiece. What are your thoughts going into Game 3 with still some question marks about the lineup?
My thoughts are take it up another level, stay out of the box. And if you get a couple of early saves from Wallstedt to kind of ease him into this game, give him the confidence that he should have, but just to kind of firm that up for him. If there's any questions there for the young goaltender at all, get him into the game early. And then I would love the first goal in this hockey game from a Minnesota perspective. I think go a long way to helping them, just kind of ease into the game a little bit. But if you don't get it, I don't think anything has to change. This series has been awfully close. Shots on goal are awfully close. The scoring chances awfully close. Some of the analytics are, so close that it's scary. We knew that coming in. These two teams are equally matched in the regular season for the most part. So raise the level, stay out of the box, get Wallstedt in the game early, maybe get that first one and see where it goes.
Power play was not as sharp as it was in Game 1. Probably a lot because Zuccarello was not in the lineup. What are your thoughts? Who goes in? Does Faber move up to that top power play? If Zuccarello, we don't know if Zuccarello is playing yet, do we?
We don't know.
I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts?
My thoughts are the first 15 games of the season you play without Matt Zuccarello, and the power play was excellent. So go back to that. It was Tarasenko a lot of the time, if I'm not mistaken, going way back to October, start of the year. But the power play started scorching hot. For the most part, was pretty consistent all year long. I'd love to see another shooter out there. I mean, if Tyler Myers wants to eat 6 shots on a power play, let him eat 6 shots on a power play. Yeah. I would fire right into him. I know that sounds crazy, but Tarasenko's a shooter. So get him the puck, high slot, top of the circle, similar to where he scored in overtime against Ottinger on that, centering feed from the dasher there. from the right of Ottinger. Tarasenko took it, dusted it off, ripped that thing upstairs. So I'd like to see Tarasenko, if he's out there in PP1, shoot the puck.
One thing we've been talking about as we made our way through this extended pregame is the walking that fine line. You want to play with intensity. You want to play with aggression, but at the same time, you can't step over that line because whoever gets more run on the power play most likely has the best chance to win. How do you toe that line, Tom? How easier said than done, right? Especially when you come to talk about playoff hockey?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into every game. Every player is really uptight, stepping on the ice. They want to do their very best. They don't want to create problems for your team. You want to make sure you're going to help your team. At the same time, you have to be able to curb that emotion sometimes also. It's good to have emotion. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's how you handle it. But Minnesota was guilty of taking some needless penalties in that last game, and that hurt them. I think they have to stay out of that box. Let the opposition take the penalties if they want. But you know what? Stay the course. Do what you have to do. Don't cross the line. And, just go for the gold on this one.
Are we expecting any changes to the lineup for Dallas? I know we're talking a lot about the Wild, and that's what we care the most about. But what does Dallas do to tweak things and ramp things up coming in as the visitor?
So they were at Grand Casino Arena for their skate at noon today, Kevin. But from what I gathered on the old Twitter sphere, according to their beat reporters that are here covering the team, there will be no lineup changes for the Stars. Obviously, Ottinger and net. And we'll see, what adjustments are made by each team. That'll be another part that, we've talked a lot about heading into the playoffs. Game 1 to Game 2, now Game 2 to Game 3. Who makes a little tweak to the system that might catch the other team off guard and can take advantage of it?
Brock Faber. Go ahead.
Yeah, the thing, I think also that first goal is going to be very important, especially in this building. If Minnesota can get the fans behind them, if this team can get that first goal, this building will become raucous. There's no question in my mind. That's what happened in Dallas. The first game, they were pretty quiet because Minnesota scored the first goal. Second game, it was Dallas taking that first goal, and boy, that crowd really stepped into it. And I'm looking for Minnesota to get that first one, and hopefully the crowd will respond to that.
All right, you guys were there live to watch Brock Faber. Talk about his game and how good he was in both games, Game 1 and Game 2.
Unbelievable. Tom could speak to it better as a former defenseman, but I just thought every part of his game was rock solid. His confidence with the puck. Talking with Jack Capuano, associate coach today for the Wild, that we'll hear later on the regular pregame show. He's defending with his feet too, right? And his competes there, and the decision making is smart. He and Hughes, not being too aggressive, not overcommitting in the offensive zone. So it's been a really good start for both those guys.
Yeah, he's been absolutely great. There's no question. When you look at his play, especially with Hughes, those two guys really complement each other. And when I look at Brock Faber and watching him, remember his first games in Chicago going back a couple years ago. I mean, he was absolutely terrific and one of the best players on the ice coming into the team for the first time in the National Hockey League. But, boy, he's playing with so much confidence right now, and that kind of transcends to the rest of the group also. Yeah. I mean, Minnesota has the players. They all have to work at it to make sure it's going to happen here tonight.
Tom, it feels like he was playing at a pretty high level even before Quinn Hughes. Then Quinn Hughes gets here. He takes it to another level. Then the playoffs start. He finds even another level. Is the sky the limit for Brock Faber? Have we found the ceiling, or is there still more to be had?
I think there's more to be had. I mean, he is so exciting to watch. When you watch his movements out there, his skating ability is next to none. There's no question about it. But also, he's always got his head up in the upright position. And Joe and I were talking. In fact, Joe pointed out the other day that he finally took a slap shot in a hockey game. We haven't seen him do that very much because usually it's wrist shot, and those wrist shots find their way through to the front of the net. Now, sometimes they result in goals or assists on goals. So hopefully that will continue with him.
Last thing, we don't know what the full lineup is as of yet. We don't know about Matt Zuccarello. We don't know about Yakov Trenin. As mentioned, both game time decisions. We did see Bobby Brink on Monday in game number 2. What did you guys think of his first look in at the postseason play? And what have you thought about him in a Wild uniform? What could he bring to tonight, in fact, if he is in the lineup again?
Well, he's got to bring some energy. There's no question in my mind. He's got to hopefully get some points here also. He had 15 goals this year, I believe, 15 assists on the season. So hopefully he can add to that. But he's got to give 100% when he's on the ice, or he cannot sit back. But I think with his speed, and I think he's got some pretty good smarts on the game as well. So hopefully that'll help tonight.
All right, last one for you guys. We talked about Ottinger. What were your thoughts on Jesper Wallstedt in the first 2 games?
I think he's been good. Tough bounce to open the scoring in game 2, right? Like off the end wall. Sure, would you love to have him up against the post, seal that thing a little bit better, as coaches talk about? Yeah, but it's a tough bounce. And the empty net goal, also appeared to kind of, he wasn't in there for that, obviously. It's an empty netter, but it's up on its edge. It looks like it's going wide. Hughes kind of takes his foot off the pedal, expecting it to go wide. It hooks in. To me, that's 2 instances of puck luck you just didn't get in Game 2. Play your game tonight. Volstead, I think, will be just fine. And then hopefully you get a little puck luck and you make your own breaks and bounces as well.
Tom, free commercial as folks are driving here for Game 3. It's going to be a late one after this one, but Game 4, another matinee. You know how we love those, and I know a proprietor on West 7th loves those matinees as well. Before the game, after the game, Saturday for Game 4, what would you suggest down at Tom Reed's Hockey City Pub?
Well, just come on in. If you can get a seat, you better get there early because it is going to be busy. I can assure you that. And the weather holds up the way it has been for the last couple of days. It's going to be a great atmosphere here, and hopefully the fans can savor a victory in that game as well.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thanks,
have a great
guys.
call tonight, and we will talk in a little bit.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
There you go. The voices of Minnesota Wild hockey on your radio, on your stream, and everywhere in between.
Yeah.
That's a nice little rhyme. Tom Reed and Joe O'Donnell
really
joining
good.
us here on the extended Minnesota
You might
Wild
want to get that
pregame.
on Breakaways.
I might have to write that one down and put it in
Maybe
a little
that'll be on
promo.
Breakaways on Saturday.
Without a doubt.
Rhymes.
We got a little bit of time here before we break away for the actual Minnesota Wild pregame.
I want to know the lineup.
I do too. I mean,
it really is going to be a huge factor. And if those two are out of the lineup, I'm curious to see what the lines look like.
I am too.
And who's playing and what the strategy is for tonight.
It's too bad because you didn't have a lot of question marks going into Game 1. You had that extra time to
We talked
rest,
about the health of the team, right?
And they went in and they felt so good about themselves. And then you grab a guy. There's very few guys that are as important to the offensive aspect of this game as it is with Matt Zuccarello. As we said, he is such a breath of fresh air for Kirill Kaprizov. They know where each other are going to be. He's such a big factor on the power play when you skate with a man advantage. And to yank that out of your lineup and have to make do in Game 2 at the last second and now probably for Game 3, that's significant.
Yeah, and what's going to happen or what has to happen, and it typically does, Kevin, is when two of your better players are out of the lineup, other guys get a chance, and the whole team sometimes plays a little bit harder. And you say, well, shouldn't they be playing hard all the time? Yes, but there's still that little extra gear that everybody finds. And if both those guys are out, that's what's going to happen tonight.
Do you sense that this one will have that bite to it, that
I do.
playoff factor where they're going to be the hard-hitting, hard-skating type of game again?
I do. I think it's, listen, both teams are really, really good. And it's Shane and I, and you talked about, it's so razor thin, right? Yep. Winning, and it's going to be tight. It's going to be a hard game, and hopefully the Wild end up on top.
This is what it's all about.
Yep.
We knew it wasn't going to be easy. It certainly hasn't been through 2 games. I think this is going to be a dogfight, and I can't wait to drop the puck. Do you have a gut feeling how Game 3 is going to play out, and do you dare make a prediction?
I don't.
How do you feel it's going to go? You don't have to make a prediction.
Don't know. I really don't, because I think
it's a coin flip type of game.
It really is. And whatever team, this game is built on momentum, and whoever can get that momentum and hold on to it, is going to end up on top. And so, and that's why, at home, you better take advantage of it, because you're going to have the crowd behind you and the energy going. And if you can control that and, get that first goal. I think getting that first goal, it will really, really energize not only the fans but the players on the bench and everybody involved. So that's going to be pretty important.
Next time I talk to you, it'll be for Beyond the Pond 1 hour edition on Saturday morning, 10 to 11 into the Gopher Spring game, and then we're back for an extended pregame starting at 3 o'clock
3 o'clock
on Saturday into Game 4. And hopefully, in those times, those 3 hours of broadcasting started throughout the course of Saturday, we're talking about going into Game 4 with a 2-1 series lead.
Are we doing fan line Saturday, too?
We're not, because the Timberwolves are on after us.
Oh.
So that's why we got the extended pregame. game. So
gotcha.
That's it for now. I'll talk to you Saturday.
Sounds great.
Enjoy the game.
You too.
That's my buddy Pat Micheletti, my co-host on Beyond the Pond. Thanks to him. Shane Hnidy was fantastic, as were Joe and Tom. They've got the play-by-play action coming up here in just a little bit. And great job by Brett Blakemore and his Breakaways. He, too, will be back Saturday morning for Beyond the Pond. Enjoy Game 3 and go Wild.
Hey, this is Jake Middleton, and you are listening to The Fan.
For an extraordinary advantage in sports, you need a game plan. For an extraordinary advantage everywhere else, all you need is Acrisure. With a high-tech human approach to insurance, cybersecurity, and more, Acrisure helps you take care of what you care about. That makes winning easy. See what Acrisure's extraordinary advantage can do for you at Acrisure.com.